but I
I
want to do
got
that
to
one.
write a great scene today that
Yes.
I had a lot of fun doing.
Oh, do tell. Did it involve emus and boars and man junk?
It did involve man junk. Yeah, I just love that look on your face going, I am terrified to ask the question of exactly how this works.
Against my better judgment, continue.
In my universe, the Imperial Marines are a co-ed institution that is a lot like the Starship Troopers movie. They don't have separate shower and other facilities.
There is no shame when it comes to body parts or anything else. Right.
Not among the professionals.
Okay.
But Andrea is in basic training, where they're introducing these concepts to people that may not be familiar with them yet.
Ah, okay. Okay. I thought you were
So
saying the culture didn't have it. You're just saying the military culture doesn't have it.
the Marines in specific don't, because there's no space where the Marines get into their combat armor, their powered armor, to allow for separate dressing and armoring areas. So, because this is a very close-knit society, the Marines themselves don't have body modesty issues in a professional setting. So in basic training, they're introducing this concept to the recruits. The introduction is them finding out the shower after their first morning PT session doesn't have separate showers. And there's the gentleman that I have there that is a recruit that is I've set up as the foil for my main character, and he's just an ass, which I'm having fun making him an ass. But having him saunter on up after the shower with it all hanging out, you know, being the peacock with his chest thrown out, and having the main character going, wait a minute, that's it? You should perhaps go talk to the medics, because I believe they probably have some processes they could go through to make that actually just average in size. You know, it's a little small for a Marine, don't you think?
Oh.
So I had a great time writing that scene.
Oh. Confidence forever shattered. Will never have another erection in their lives.
But he is the if you ever watched any movie that has teenagers in it, he is the foil. So he's going to be, you know, the jock asshole that is going to be trying to sabotage her the entire damn book. So it fits in perfectly well, her being able to just make man junk jokes the entire damn time going forward. And she made sure and did so in a fairly public setting so everybody heard.
Oh boy.
It's going to be fun. It raised my spirits being able to write this scene, because it's just so fun.
Oh my God.
Who wouldn't like seeing that scene in a movie? I'd love to see that scene.
I think we have seen that scene in several other movies.
Well, I am a derivative kind of guy, so then, you know, that's probably true.
One of the Archer episodes has a great fucking episode like that.
I could see that.
I mean, Mallory just goes off on this dude who's like really super athletic and proud of himself, and she kind of like says, "That's it." It's sort of, and he's like, "Well, it's cold in here."
I make up names on the fly because I'm when I run across the character, it's while I'm out walking, so I'm narrating. I'm dictating while I'm walking.
Yeah, Cardinal Joe showed up in one of my stories. I was a Garaga story, Cardinal Joe, because I had no interest in looking up who the fuck it would have been. And I can find Cardinal Joe.
I named this guy Claudio, and I have Fabio in my head, you know, the kind of physique that Fabio has.
No.
So that's what I've got in my brain.
You say Claudio, I think Mario. That's exactly what I see when you say Claudio.
He's a big old buff guy, and now forever, everybody's going to be laughing at him. Now, I've got to come up with some horrible nickname that he's going to be stuck with in basic training, that it's just going to just make this rivalry so much worse.
I'm thinking an Italian dish might be in order.
Pizza face.
That's too
Maybe
easy.
I'll call him Vienna.
Wow.
I don't know if that will translate for too many people, so I'm not sure if I should or not. I'll come up with something like that, though.
Just have somebody eating a snack and go, was it this big? Whatever the snack food is, that's what they name it after.
I didn't even come out and just say, you know, that just looks like a penis, only smaller. I really need to come out and just do that. That's where it comes out during the editing, where I refine the themes that I'm doing in these. So I got the raw scene out. I've got to make 2 editing passes where it's going to condense all of this and it's going to refine and sharpen it up. So I've got plenty of time to make this into just a really embarrassing moment for him that is going to prompt him to do something relatively horrific in retaliation later. And that's basically going to be basic training, the tit for tat sort of retaliation that's going to be going on.
I really missed writing a lot of that. If you write all these books where the characters are constantly running for their lives, there's very little opportunity to have those moments once shit gets started. But I mean, every book in the Black series has moments like that are just little tete-a-tetes that just show life going on as it is and characters being characters and doing what they do. And you've got a situation like yours where you got 2 characters who are meant to ram heads from the very beginning. Those are important moments. See Harry Potter. See every child.
It's a Malfoy moment.
It's a Malfoy moment. See every childhood bully story, and this is what you got. This is what you get.
In the Starship Troopers movie, you've got the blonde-headed recruit.
Oh, Gary Busey's son.
Is that who it is? I thought it looked like Gary Busey, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's Gary Busey's son.
And him getting his hand stuck to the wall with a knife in training. And that particular scene.
Did the drill sergeant throw it? Did the drill sergeant throw it?
I don't remember if the drill sergeant threw it.
I think it was the drill sergeant that threw the knife.
But that scene is very strongly in my mind. There's going to be something that happens along these lines because their training from Starship Troopers is not so radically different than the training that these Imperial Marines are going to be going through. I may need to watch that movie again, you know, to get the flavor back up.
You should. You should, just for those ridiculous moments. I saw that movie's actually ranked on some sites as satire, and I was like, oh, thank Christ.
Satire?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. This is definitely satire.
What way is it satirical?
Did you
what is it satirizing?
Well, they're satirizing propaganda. They're satirizing.
Heinlein did that on purpose. Yeah. I understand.
No, I'm talking about the movie.
Oh, well, that's what I'm getting at. I understand the book is a form of I don't know that if I call it propaganda or satirization. Those are kind of like opposite sides of the fence for this particular book. But I wasn't sure if the movie qualified as satire.
Oh, well, the movie definitely qualifies as satire. The book does not, in my mind.
Guarantee your right to vote. Become a military, serve in the military.
Yeah, see, they changed quite a few things. And then, of course, when you read the book, you find out that, he's got the right to vote. He doesn't vote. He doesn't pay attention to anything that's going on. He was just the idle rich looking for someplace to fit in. That is the book.
Rico?
Yeah.
I don't think he had the right to vote.
No. Once, if you go toward the end of the book, he's talking about the fact that, yes, I have the right to vote, but I don't ever vote.
Disgust at the system? Yikes.
No, is that the system didn't matter. War was all his life, and all he cared about was that. There was nothing else.
That is actually true. It's been a long time since I've read Starship Troopers.
J.R. Hanley and
Christopher Winder.
Yeah, thank you. Had me on their show and to review the book and talk about it. And we got into that whole argument that Heinlein's glorifying you know, this, that, and the other. And I don't think that's the case with that book. I don't think it's glorification. I think if anything, it shows how people who are directionless can gravitate toward something in particular, and it can become their life no matter what it is, because they had nothing else grounding them. And then that becomes their entire existence. And I would say Rico's very, very happy with that. It's not something he's ever going to change. He is static from here on out. He is static. He is set. And he is never going to change.
His world, in the book anyway, his world was destroyed by the bugs. So he lost all of his family except for his father, though he didn't know his father was still alive.
Not his world, his continent.
Well, I meant his personal family, his friends, everything that he'd grown up knowing, not the planet, but his metaphorical world.
But that was also after he had already joined the military.
Yes.
But regardless, that he was already socially maladjusted from the very beginning of the book, and it's pretty obvious. He had his friends, but he doesn't really. He almost like had no identity. And so he took that on. And that's what made things kind of interesting for me to watch or to read the book in, was seeing the new static emerge. Right. And suddenly everything is about this. It is about my partner, my squad mate. It's about the attack. It's about my company. It's about this, that, and the other. That is their existence from here on out. That is all there is.
There is themes from Starship Troopers, the book, that I would love to incorporate inside what I'm writing for the Imperial Marines. And those fall along the categories of the binding of this training unit to one another.
Right. Yeah.
Taking the disparate people.
Hang your Texas pronunciations up on the wall, boy. We're trying to have a moment here.
Tearing that down to the basics and building them back up as a cohesive unit that will defend one another. I have a memory from when I was in basic training. There was one of these assholes there in basic training that was just a jerk in our platoon. And that's all fine and good, you know. He didn't really bother me all that much, but I saw him bother other people. And at some point near the end of training, there was a confrontation between our platoon and another platoon. And I found myself getting up in somebody else's face because he might have been an asshole, but he was our asshole.
Yeah, he's my asshole.
So that
in fact, after this fight, I'm decking him.
this may in fact be true, but that was the initial thought that got in my mind, is I'm going to fight this other guy because it doesn't matter how much of a jerk this guy is. He's ours, not theirs.
He's the guy who protects my left flank, or my right flank, or my back, or my front, or another of our squad mates. He's integral to the crew and can't be written off. We got to do what we got to do. It's a team.
And that theme is going to come through here. Claudio is not going to be the enemy for the entire book. He's going to be, much like that other person, he's going to become the unwilling partner in all of this. He's going to become somebody that they can count on. And they're going to be somebody that can count, that he can count on. And that's the kind of themes that I want to put forward in this book, because it's about the cycle of changing a child into a warrior.
Again, a very archetypal story.
I'm all about this. Like I said, I'll just steal everybody's shit and I'll make it in my own. It's working very well for me. Thank you.
Our friend Dave, little college roommate of mine, lives in Colorado. And I was telling him about the derelict a little bit, and then he started talking about simulations, and he was like, you know, all this crazy stuff that's going on right now, it turns out our reality is being moved. I said, excuse me? We're being moved to a backup drive or something. All this stuff is just fragmentation from the move, or the packet loss. It's all a packet loss. Once we get migrated, everything will go back to normal. And I'm like, the fuck are you talking about?
I'm pretty sure that 2020 qualifies as a malware attack.
It's like, the fuck is the universe using? Microsoft Backup or DOS? We're being migrated from a 32-bit operating system to 64. Weirdness may happen for a while.
We're being backed up on floppies.
Oh my God, let's hope not. I thought that was such an interesting concept, though, that goes along with the kind of the lit RPG stuff you were talking, whatever you called it, game craft
Game
or
lit?
no, the crafting.
Oh, now you've got my brain fried. It'll come to me in a second. Keep talking.
The thing about resources, being a character who knows how to make stuff, build stuff, that kind of perfection. It's just such an odd idea that, okay, that is you doing this, living your life, and you're just a simulation of a life form going through one hell of a VR, right?
Cultivation.
That's what it's called. Yeah, cultivation. At what point do the characters realize that they are in this simulation and just say, fuck it, I refuse to play?
Cultivation doesn't have to be a simulation. Lit RPG is the simulation.
No, I understand that. I was talking in this instance.
Like I say in 2020.
Yeah,
I think that when we arrive at month 13 in 2020, we may realize that we are in a simulation and it's hell.
December 32nd.
There's a meme going around, of people watching the clock as it rolls over after midnight.
It's stuck.
And it goes to the first day of the 13th month of 2020, and then that falling face look. Oh God.
I can just totally see it, man. 11:59, 59 seconds. All the clocks stop in the world. Digital, it doesn't matter. Mechanical, they all just stop for no reason.
That's where the EMP hits and everything goes.
And up in the sky, it says game over. Thank you for playing.
Hopefully it'll be a reset in progress if that happens, because I could totally see, wanting to be reset at that point.
Send me back to where I was. Get me out of this shit.
Send me back to the 70s, please.
Oh,
I'll do it all different, I swear.
Oh, the wardrobe. Wardrobe alone is enough for nothing. Oh my God. I have another Starsky and Hutch Beretta moment here in a moment. Yeah, let's not do that. Thank you for that, Terry. Thank you so much for that.
It's my pleasure.
Uh-huh. Simulation. What does a character do when they figure out they're in the meta of whatever is going on? Oh God, you've got a cat. Got Misty.
It's Misty. No, Misty.
For those of you playing at home, is that one or two? It's one. There's number one. What is going on? What are you doing? You have a cat for a mustache.
It's a cat stash.
Patrons, listeners, viewers, we try and have a show, and this is what happens. He stops, just doesn't say anything because he's distracted by cats.
That's okay.
You completely
She needed her love, and she needed it right then.
You completely derailed us. Not that we were on much of a rail to begin with.
So you were asking about when the characters in these suddenly realize that they're in them.
Yeah. What happens when they just decide not to play?
Somehow I'm going to bet that the world grinds them into small paste.
But it is
They're not playing.
It is an interesting question, though. What kind of dictator is there? Is it benevolent dictatorship? Is it complete chaos?
In some of these books, they do have a form of benevolent dictatorship, and that's the AIs that run the virtual world. And those AIs can then prod these people to move along their path. And that is a very unpleasant process. I'm not going to fight. Okay, here you go. Okay, maybe I will fight.
maybe, all right, fine. Maybe I will do this. You prod them along. I was just thinking of all the characters or all the literature I've read out there that is metafiction in the sense that the characters know about the author writing, and the author obviously knows about the characters they're writing. Pirandello made a great satire of this in, was it 7 Characters in Search of an Author? Something like that.
Sounds vaguely familiar. Yeah.
It's a play I've talked about before. It's probably been years, but it's the same kind of breaking the
fourth wall.
Completely breaking and shattering the fourth wall and then spinning it. You know, it'd be like telling a story from a deity's perspective on what these people are doing, and then kind of prodding them along, and then the character kind of staring back, going, "What the fuck is your problem?"
Yeah, that would make a really interesting story. An interesting story idea from what you were telling me this, and I'm like going, it would be really interesting writing something from the omniscient point of view, as in truly omniscient. You've got the godlike point of view, where the deity discovers there's something going on that he did not start, is unaware of, and is suddenly completely and utterly mystified and drawn to, because there's something unexplained happening and he needs to get to the bottom of it.
I thought excuse me? You little shit.
I was gonna move your camera for you, Dad.
He's cuddling up to the Mac Mini for warmth, and then in the process dragging every cable known to humankind. Anyway,
be like God looking down on the world. Look at what I've created. It is absolutely. What is that thing over there? What is that? Where did that come from?
What is that doing here?
There. That's not supposed to be there. How did it get here? What is it?
It's Cthulhu. It's breaking through the realities.
But it's the only deity. How did it happen?
It's not the only reality.
I know, but what a fun story that would be. Having somebody completely befuddled because their reality is supposedly completely under their control, having something that doesn't belong.
It turns out the deity's got a brain tumor.
You know, that's one possible explanation.
Or is going psychotic.
If you're looking at a virtual reality, maybe one of the AIs that is part of the collective that runs the virtual reality has some code buried in it that you didn't know about.
Maybe it has a quantum personality disorder.
Ooh, that's possible too. Or it just may be, really worse than that. One of the lit RPGs that I'm reading, it was put together because the universe was going to be the planet was going to die in an impact. They could save some people by uploading their personalities to this game and burying the servers where they could survive and give them some kind of life. But they were pressed for time. So when they built the servers, one of the AIs was built using basically a Chinese combat AI. And as you might imagine, it's got different goals than the rest.
Although it doesn't really understand what those goals are or why they're still relevant.
It completely understands what its own goals are, and it's working on subverting the entire artificial reality. But because of limitations that they put in the code, it can only do so through intermediaries.
Yeah. Okay. So it's the ghost. It's the devil whispering in the ear.
It is the devil that is actually grooming the bad guys that they have to fight.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. That makes sense. Again, that goes back to the ephemeral nature of, God, I don't even know what to call them. Sentient ghosts. How would you describe that kind of life form?
Somebody that's been uploaded?
No, when you're talking about, say AIs in some ways reach sentient intelligence, do we just call them SIs regardless of what package they're in?
I would, yeah.
It seems so difficult to try and understand how that's all going to work. Anyway, I was distracted. Oh God. Cat number 2.
Minnie says you can talk all you like. I was going to be right here.
Mm-hmm. Minnie is a distraction. Distraction terminated with extreme prejudice.
With mild pettings.
Mild pettings. I don't know, man. These AIs are like show up on people's doorsteps, and are they spirits in the world? How do they do what they do?
The one that I was thinking about, and by the way, I'm talking about Viridian Gate is the name of the series that I'm talking about. They are basically gods. They are the 7 gods of the realm. And they make no bones about what they do and why they do it. They have their own goals, and they will manipulate people and herd them into doing what they want.
So basically, it's the Greek pantheon.
In a lot of ways in that book, that would be a fairly accurate assessment.
That's a good way to work it.
You don't have Zeus, though. He's not out impregnating everything into the sky, you know.
Well, why not? What kind of weak-ass world is this? Or you don't have a Zeus, preying upon everything.
You don't have Loki turning into a horse and becoming pregnant.
Yikes. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
I think that's a totally different emu story.
Yeah. I'm wondering what the guys from Progressive or whatever it is with the emu. Emu.
I like seeing the emus with their hair in certain ways. They look like they're part of a boy band.
Yeah. The 70s one is so bad. God. Emu. Like Liberty Mutual. There we go. We are not sponsored by anybody.
Not the emus. I'm thinking alpacas, maybe. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Because it's not the birds, it's the other beasts.
The other beasts would be llamas?
Maybe llamas, maybe alpacas. I get them confused. I don't have a lot of experience with either llamas or alpacas.
You haven't lived to been spat on by an alpaca. No, that's not ever happened to me. I've never lived. So there you go. Are there alpacas in this simulation?
Why not? Let's have some. Maybe that is what warriors ride to in battle. Alpacas.
Oh, dear. Yikes. Wow.
The knight in shining armor and his alpaca.
And his balsa wood blade. This is really going to go well. What's he fighting? Gnats? How crazy would you have to be to jump on a starship, go 50 years to reach a planet that had been blind terraformed?
You'd have to be moderately desperate. There better be a global catastrophe looming on the horizon.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But the idea is pretty interesting that they would send off some kind of seeder to go seed the planet before they showed up. And for whatever reason, they got rushed. And so evolution is still in progress. And in ways they hadn't really foreseen. And then something comes and interrupts things even worse. So I have all these ideas, but I'm like, what would make you so damn desperate or stupid that you would want to do this? And the only things I can figure out are apocalypse.
Nova.
Huh?
The Nova is coming.
The Nova, whatever, whatever. The star is going Nova. But or a way to try and escape other humans or whatever else. It just seems like you'd have to be pretty damn desperate. But you could, in fact, have like 4 or 5 of these worlds that were blind terraformed and have different ships going out there that may never see one another again. May never even communicate with one another again, depending on the situation. If your species is being hunted, for instance, the last thing you're going to do is build a goddamn radio to broadcast out.
Personally, the way I think it's going to work, we're going to get out into the interstellar neighborhood. We're going to find a gajillion planets that are made to look just like Canada and have humans on them.
Could I buy some pot from you?
It's all those science fiction shows where it's filmed in Vancouver, so every planet
Yeah,
looks like
everything's Vancouver.
It's Canada.
Everything's Vancouver in Canada. It's just such an interesting concept of what kinds of things humans might be forced into doing, or other species are forced into doing. What if the aliens have hijacked the world they're going to? And they land in basically a shitstorm because they've populated the other side of the planet or are terraforming the other side of the planet.
Ooh, warring terraforming units.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, kind of a problem, especially if it's their side is CO2 and the other side is oxygen.
Plants will be happy.
People not so much.
One of the
and the other species not so much.
One of the stories that Glenn Stewart wrote involved a bunch of robotic probe ships that basically terraformed worlds. And they were sent out by a species that was on the verge of an extinction level event. And because nobody's ever seen any of the aliens that sent them, the guess is they didn't make it. But some of their machines have gone crazy and they don't obey the rules. They'll terraform a planet that actually had people already on it.
You know, this don't settle if there's already life there. Yeah. You forgot about that, didn't you?
And they did. So yeah, it was interesting going through the 3 books that he wrote in that series and trying to delve into what happened to the origin species, what went wrong, and how are poor humans who are not in the same league technologically as even the mechanical devices left by this other species,
let alone the creators themselves. Yeah. Ideas.
Those make for great storylines to delve into.
You think about the movie Alien and the follow-ups, especially Prometheus, and the newer one. I can't remember what it's called now. The idea is that the creatures were made by some other species, and that species also made us. And this is their weapon they use to clear out bad civilizations, maybe? Something like that. It's never really explained, at least in the movies, but I can imagine in the books, if humans were able to understand the aliens, that they would be able to put together exactly why it was what it was, why it was the way it was. There's all these different theories about this, including some rather interesting religious ones. But anyway.
A lot of the stories that Glenn does has themes of elder civilizations that did not make the cut.
Right.
That things went wrong. And in a different series, his Duchy of Terror series, roughly 50,000 years before the present time, there was a dominant galactic civilization that inadvertently offed themselves by changing the laws of reality and killing themselves off.
Well, that seems like they did the universe a favor.
In fact, I believe that they perhaps did the universe a favor, but it's interesting because what killed them off is they changed one of the universal constants in some way. Present day people aren't really sure exactly what it was that was changed, but it affected the alien civilization's technology, including the implants that they had in their heads. So basically, they exterminated themselves in a moment. And they used to have FTL drive. Those FTL drives don't work the same way anymore. The technology morphed, and now it's a weapon, the kind that makes a star go nova if you try to turn it on.
Oh, nice.
Just things like that. You know, people are trying to protect this ancient alien technology that was left over because you don't really know what's going to happen if it works.
It's like Warehouse 13 or any of those stories where they've picked up an artifact and they don't know what it does, They don't want to know what it does. It's supposed to be put in the bot, like Indiana Jones. It's supposed to be put in the crate and forgotten about. Never opened, never touched, never studied, never examined ever again. It's there. We have it. That's good enough. Which is exactly what I kind of imagined the U.S. government would try and do with the black, but it doesn't like being put in their crate.
Whatever. It's going to be in some dark, dank lab that it can break out of and eat all of the researchers.
It keeps doing that. It keeps doing that. How many more times does it have to do it before people get the picture? I don't know. How many more books do they want me to write?
Exactly. How many more books do you have in the series? That's how many times they'll do it.
One more.
And then it goes to space, where it becomes the black in space.
We may talk about that after the show. We may talk about that after the show. Anyway.
Pigs in space.
I'll just say that somebody on my YouTube channel left a quote or a comment that pretty much outed the whole thing, but we'll see how many people actually catch it when it happens. Anyway, the lab thing is the problem with the creature. I don't want to keep going back to a fucking lab. It's boring. It's stupid. And there's only so much you can learn. I wrote one book just in a lab setting so we could learn whatever we can learn and prepare you for what's coming. That's it. I don't want to stick it back in a lab. You'd have to be fucking morons to want to try and put it back in a lab. And I'm tired of writing stupid. Let's write something a little bit smarter. That doesn't mean somebody out there isn't dumb enough to try and do it again. Oh, we can do it better this time. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, humans are stupid. Anyway, the lab thing gets old. It gets old for me. It's got to get old for the readers. So you have to find new and interesting ways to do things. And that means that I have a lot of things I can do in the 5th book, which I'm excited about. And I can have moments like you were talking about with characters giving each other shit and, you know, things like that kind of happening all the way through. I can do that this time. This time, finally. Yeah. Too many stories, man.
Not enough time.
Not enough time. Not enough time at all. But I know how to end Derelict.
Now you just have to actually get there.
I wrote probably 4,000 or 5,000 words this week, finishing up a couple things, figuring out how I'm going to figure out how I'm going to make a couple other things happen, and a couple of chapters of I need to rewrite to make all that work. And then I'm still going to have to spend another 5,000 or 6,000 words closing this monster off.
I think I'm at about 20,000 words in Imperial Marine, so I'm only a fifth of the way into the book. Still plenty of space to go.
Still plenty of room.
Still plenty of rope to give everybody to hang themselves.
Right. Gotcha.
I've got 2 point of view characters, so I've got to feed some to the other character now.
You know, in my books, that statement would not mean the same thing.
No, it wouldn't.
Just saying, it's October.
I've got things that can happen with the training platoon that nobody in their right mind would put a training platoon through, but I've got to set the groundwork.
So, Terry, can you have a good character as a cannibal?
Yes. And here's how you do it. Because your character believes that eating the hearts of their enemies honors their enemies and brings their strength back to humanity. As long as it's a moralistic approach inside the point of view of the character, you can indeed have a character.
What if they're just
challenge? It's going to be a challenge to write, but
what if they're just pork loin?
Tenderloin, love it.
What's his name? Meat. Dinner.
Who's that guy? Emergency supplies.
Oh, yikes. Oh, getting kind of thin over there, isn't he? Might want to fatten him up.
Why do you keep feeding him extra food? No comment.
Why has it always got spices? No comment.
Why don't you ever feed him anything with sage in it? I'm allergic.
Parsley, sage, rosemary, and Clyde.
have your cannibal not feed his companion one specific food because he personally is allergic to it. And that has all the implications that you need right there.
You want to taste me? I'm getting pretty tender. Meanwhile, he's been huffing peanut butter like crazy.
That's disgusting. Stop eating it. Oh
yeah. Ways to ward off the cannibal. Ooh, like I'm not touching you.
It's like somebody that's afraid of vampires just continually eating garlic.
Raw. Oh my God. Oh, that's hideous.
As he steps into the crowd and the crowd begins moving back.
I love garlic, but that's a little extreme even for me. I mean, come on. That is ridiculous. Nobody wants that. I don't know about this.
He could refer to his boon companion and in a native tongue, and translated it means snack. But nobody knows what the translation is.
What do you call the baby? Finger food.
Ouch.
Oh, yes. Here at DRS, we are just a classy show and never stoop to levels that we shouldn't be stooped to.
Pigs in a blanket.
On that note, oh my God. As Paul hurriedly starts looking up Patreon patrons. Oh no. This mouse doesn't work because the cat is sitting on it. This got scary even for me. I am out of here. Terry's getting weird.
Hey, I didn't bring cannibals into this. This was you. This was
I know. I just had the freaking question. I had to ask you if.
And you got your answer. I am not afraid to talk about any subject.
And really what you're telling me is it kind of goes back to Dexter. We like him because he's a serial killer. He's complicated. He's kind of likable dude, if not for the fact that he's approachable, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
His killing is moralistic. You can excuse his behavior because it serves a greater good. So if you write a cannibal whose behavior serves the greater good in some way, you will find readers that are willing to excuse it.
Yep. As long as it makes sense in the context.
Mm-hmm.
Still, this is not because I have a cannibal story running around in my head.
This is totally not true. He has a cannibal story running around in his head.
More than one, actually. But that's really not the point. That was not the point at all. So shut up. I have plenty of stories that are analogous to cannibalism.
Sure. That's what you've got to say to make it acceptable to yourself. Go right ahead.
I don't know what this episode was about.
Well, let's see. We started talking. What did we start talking about?
Exactly. We roared through the archetype of the bully and bullied in military or organizational IDOC. We talked about
I think we talked about how to make characters fit together.
Okay, that makes sense.
In one way or another, the character interactions is what we were talking about.
Character interactions. No, we would never talk about that.
No, that's because it just doesn't interest us.
It's only interesting to the characters to know about themselves and other people. The readers don't.
I can't wait till I get to the point where I'm spraying somebody's wall locker through one of the air vents with shaving cream.
Or we really reached that level of juvenile tricks and pranks?
I can tell you from having attended basic training, yes, we have.
Yes, but I'm talking about in the future, are we still doing that stupid shit?
I heard somewhere just the other day that now in basic training, they don't actually give scores to your PT tests anymore. My immediate response was, so what is this? A participation trophy? Is that what we all get now in basic training? The future is something that we cannot comprehend. So we might as well just make fun of it. Drill sergeants aren't allowed to cuss at the recruits anymore. Now they can't score them. What's next?
I don't know. It's what happens when you can't attract able-minded and bodied people into that profession.
This is totally untrue. Even when they were being just absolute shitheels as drill instructors, they had no trouble attracting people.
No. Yes, I understand that. I'm saying things have changed radically.
I think that's because kids these days.
Okay, while we search for Terry's lawn chair, I will close
Get off my porch.
This episode off. If you would like to tell us about the inanities that we sputtered during this show and what a waste of time it was, you can send us an email to show@debrobotssociety.com. You can tweet me at Paul_E_Cooley. You can find us on Facebook at the listeners of the Dev Robot Society Facebook group. You can find us also on youtube.com/DRS podcast to see our ugly mugs and Terry's cats, all 50 billion of them. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can support this insanity and get access to live content or exclusive content like live shows, which will be next week. And at the $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Summer Wilson, Joshua Sylvester, Tony L. Joy, Andrew Smallwood, Veronica Jaguar, Rick Shaw, TJ Brick, Chris Winder, and Isabel Cushy. Thank you very much, people. Always appreciate it.
Thank you, folks. And stupid cloud.
On that note, we're going to get out of here and go do something productive, I hope, like sit in front of the TV and watch, because this can't have been all that stimulating. Next week. See you, folks.